Alrighty, y'all. How are you doing? Hope you were enjoying your day. We're looking at what Americans should know before they visit Europe. This sounds pretty interesting because you know what? I picture myself going to Europe or really anywhere far away from North America as a whole, and trying to embrace where I'm at and learn a lot. And it sounds funny, but like not look so American, if that makes sense. So I think videos like this are kind of fun, seeing culture clash and what Americans should know about different places. So this is from Walter's World. Excellent channel. Please check them out with the link in the description. And then, of course, this is a comment suggestion from Elizabeth. So thank you so much for that. Here we go, guys.
Here's Mark here with Walter's World. We're in Salzburg, Austria, one of the cutest towns you can definitely come to here in Europe. And a lot of people come here on their first trip to Europe. And so today what we have for you are kind of 11 tips or little things you should know about Europe before you come so you can have a better trip. And this is really for those first-time travelers to Europe so you know some of the differences out there to get you more ready. Now, the first thing you probably want to know about some of the differences is the toilet in Europe. Yes, you can still sit down in the toilets in Europe. That's not a problem. Only once in a blue moon will you find a hole in the ground, like a porcelain hole to go potty in. You're going to have the same toilets. But the thing is, it's the flushing that's a little different. In the U.S., you know, we have that little handle we pull down on.
Yeah, most of them have a handle, although nowadays a lot of them have gone to just like a sensor, so you don't have to touch anything, which is kind of nice. I'm going to guess there was 2 buttons there. Is he going to say like one for number 1? And a bigger button for number 2, I'm guessing?
Here, you usually have buttons. A small button, that small button is for number 1, okay, if you got to go pee. And the big button is if you have a big job, okay? Sometimes you also see like a 1 dot and then 2 dots. Well, 1 dot is for number 1, 2 dots is for number 2, okay? Another thing is if you're going to public toilets, not everywhere in Europe, but some places in Europe, they do pay for toilets. You know, you have to pay to go in, maybe 50.
Wow, that's weird. Look, I know everywhere is different, but I would not like that. That's so weird.
Cents or €1, but that usually means they're pretty clean. And I would say overall, public toilets in Europe are way cleaner than the U.S. Like, I don't feel like I'm going to get some disease going to the bathroom here as I do in some places, roadside places in the U.S., okay?
So that's a good point. Like I said, initial shock, like if I had to pay for a public bathroom, that's pretty weird. But if it could guarantee it's really high-end clean, I guess it's worth it. Second of all, yeah, the U.S. is hit or miss in a way that some public bathrooms are really gross. I'm a person that actually tends to, unless I'm on a road trip where I can't avoid it, I tend to just try and hold it till I get home. I don't like public bathrooms, A, because some of them just aren't clean. It's really gross. And B, of course, you know, if you're in a bathroom that has all stalls, I'm sure you've heard the famous like American stalls, like the door's really high up. It's not very private compared to most places, so that's pretty funny. Like in your local area here in the United States, you'll have like a famous public place that is like famous for having a good bathroom because most of them are pretty subpar. So a place will get like a reputation for like, oh, they always have clean bathrooms. So it's kind of funny, you know. But
so first thing is a little different are the toilets. So be ready for those buttons. And some you actually have to hold the button down until everything goes away and then you let the water off, okay? The second thing you should know about when you come to Europe is you're going to walk a lot. You'll see Europeans are walking a lot. They're in really good shape. They don't look like me, okay? They're walking, they're fit and all these things. And when you travel here, you will do the walking too. You're not driving around. You're not taking taxis everywhere. You're walking. So if you're coming here for the first time, make sure you're practicing your walking. You know, do some walks at home around the block. Start around the block, then around the neighborhood to get ready for when you come here. Also, make sure you have good shoes. Now, don't buy new.
Good shoes is an important thing for sure. Now, of course, walking isn't the same in the U.S. because we're very, very car dependent, right? We don't really have a lot of public transport compared to most places in Europe. And of course, everything is very spread out. So we're very car dependent. Now, there are a lot of people that walk, but of course, we don't walk out of necessity to go to the market or to go to a restaurant. We walk for recreation only, which is pretty funny, right? Unless you go to like a big, you know, shopping mall or something and you have to walk around. So yeah, you know, luckily we have some property behind our house. I walk outside a lot because it's good to get fresh air. But yeah, that is pretty funny how you have to prepare some Americans to like, hey, you're going to walk a lot. You're not going to be driving everywhere. But shoes are a big thing no matter where you are. That can like make or break your day for walking.
New shoes the day before you go because those are going to kill your feet. Make sure you break your shoes in before you come because believe me, you will be doing a lot of walking here. Now the third thing you should know is if you don't want to do walking, and probably, if you do walk in, you're going to do this, is the public transport.
Yeah.
European public transport overall is very, very good.
Yeah.
Buses, trams, metros, subways, suburban trains, they go everywhere,
Yeah.
and they're super simple to use. But the thing is, you got to know where to buy the tickets. Now, most of them you can buy tickets like on buses and trams. You can buy tickets from the driver. Metros, they usually have a machine, or you can talk to a person and buy it from them. But most of the time, it's going to be a little kiosk, a little personless thing where you put your money in or your credit cards in and buy it there. But just know in places like, for example, Berlin or Munich, you can just walk onto the metro or walk onto the suburban train and no one checks your ticket. And you think, well, that's free. Well, no, it's not. Sometimes they have people that are walking through checking to see if people have tickets, and if you get caught, they don't care if you know sprechen Sie Deutsch. They'll still fine you. I found that out a long time ago, and you will get fined, and they will not take any pity on you because you are a foreigner. So make sure you do have to buy the tickets, and a lot of times you have to there'll be a little machine and you have to validate it. It's a little punch thing to say it works. That's the.
I mean, hey, I respect that though. If they're strict about it, I mean, that's how you keep efficient transport. It's how you keep people, not cheating the system, right? They got to pay. They're not going to get away with slacking, I respect that. That keeps the prices decent, right? You don't want to be getting ripped off every other day.
Next thing is the public transport. You will use it, but you got to get tickets for it, okay? And validate them. Now, the fourth thing you might want to know is, look, here in Europe, a lot of people do speak English, so you will be fine with that, especially in the tourist industry, but not everybody does speak English here. So wherever you're...
Yes, please, this goes for anyone, especially I see a lot of stereotype videos saying Americans... I don't know if that's totally true, but I've seen the stereotypes where Americans are arrogant and get mad if someone over in a different country doesn't speak English. Yeah, come on, guys, don't do that. I'm speaking to, I guess, fellow Americans. I know most people aren't like that, but if you are, come on, don't go to another country and act like they have to cater to your every need. Please be nice about it, finding out if someone speaks English, or if you're going somewhere, especially one country, maybe, take some time and learn some basic Italian or German or whatever, right? It'd be fun and it's good for you.
You're going to go learn a few words because it really makes life so much easier. And we're here in Austria, so when you walk in a store, you say Grüß Gott, which is greetings to God, which means hello. Okay, when you come in, and make sure you know how to say please, bitte, and thank you, danke. And we have videos on all these basic words and stuff like that when you travel, but just knowing a few words can really open a lot of doors and make people a lot more helpful, especially in places like France. I mean, I just go in and say, pardon, je suis idiot, je ne parle pas français. Hey, I'm sorry, I'm an idiot, I don't speak French. Then everybody helps me and they speak English, okay? So make sure you know a few words, even though most of the people do speak English here. And
that's a good point, right? You're showing the effort that I learned just a few words. Of course, you're not expected to learn a whole language a week before you go somewhere, but if you can learn some basic phrases, it shows that you care and you're just an innocent tourist trying to, get around or whatever. So I think that's a good point.
With that is, you'll see that on public transport, the people here don't speak very loudly. It's very quiet on the trains and the metros. I mean, not every. You go to Greece, they're kind of loud. In Italy, they're kind of loud. But in general, it's not normal to speak really loud in public and speak on the public transport. So make sure you're keeping yourself softer and you don't have to speak so loud. So that's the fifth thing. Now, the sixth thing you should know is when you're coming to Europe, look, cash is king in most of Europe, so make sure you can get cash out. If you're in Northern Europe, they love their cards, okay? And so you need to have a PIN number. So depending where you're going to go will depend how you're going to pay, all right? But it's always good to have some cash when you come over here. On average, what I found, the best rate you get is you take your debit card from your home bank back in the U.S. or wherever you're from, and the banks, for example, here in Salzburg, you go to one of the ATMs here, and you take out money that way. And that's what I've always found got me the best exchange rate. Now, if you're coming the first time and you're worried your bank card might not work, call your bank to let them know you're gonna go. But also, you might wanna bring some money over with you. There are exchange houses here, or exchange some money before you come over, so you have some in your pocket. I always come over with a couple €100 in my pocket, so just in case something goes wrong, I know I can get to my hotel and have the first couple days paid for. The seventh thing you should know about coming to Europe is Europeans, they don't bite, okay? The people here aren't some kind of exotic creature to look at and go, ooh, lederhosen. No, the people in Europe are very wonderful and they want to help you because they love their countries. They're very patriotic here. So if you get lost, ask somebody for directions. If you want to know where a good bar is, or you want to know where the nightclubs are, a good restaurant, or where you should go shopping, ask a local. And that might be the concierge at your hotel or the front desk of your hotel or somebody you meet at a restaurant or a bar or on the street. People are usually very helpful here. And remember, maybe they don't speak a little English, but they'll be a lot helpful. So don't be scared of them, okay? You can talk to the French. They're okay. You can talk to the Italians. Even if they don't speak English, they'll still communicate with you.
Yeah.
No problem, okay? The 8th thing you should know before you come here is, look, in the U.S., you're used to customer is king. The customer is always right. Service is always there. Would you like a free refill? Would you like this?
Yeah, that is weird for other people, I hear. It's not weird for me because it's what I've always been around. But yeah, that is true. Customer is king. That is like the lifestyle, I guess, or culture here. And I have to admit, whether or not I agree with it or you agree with that, the fact is that's what I'm used to. So it would be a little bizarre experiencing a different side to that. I would, of course, try and adapt right away to whatever cultures I'm entering into, but it just would be different, right? It'd feel way different to not get free refills or to not tip, the waiter or waitress. It's definitely different,
In Europe, it's not the case. The customer isn't king.
Look at that. Hold on, let me interrupt. You know me, when I see this amazing scenery, I gotta praise it. Okay, that is just amazing. Wow.
Service isn't the same in Europe as it is in the U.S. Okay, they don't care as much about the customer.
So
They're not coming back to you. And no, there's no free refills in Europe. I'm sorry, but there's no free refills. And so what you should know is, hey, don't expect the over-the-top, I love you, please make my life better by giving me a big tip.
Right.
Food culture, eating out culture, tipping culture, you have in the U.S., you don't have that here. And therefore, the service isn't as good. However, you can still get very professional service and sometimes very nice people and stuff like that, no problem. And also, tipping is a country-by-country thing. For example, here in Austria, they make a good wage, but you still tip about 10%. Germany, they make a good wage, you tip maybe 5 to 10%.
Oh, see, I didn't know that. Okay. I don't know, maybe I've seen more blanket statements about Europe, how tipping wasn't a thing. I know, of course, I've gotten many Australian videos and Australian viewers commenting that tipping is not a thing down there. So, wow, I guess it does vary. You really should look on the tipping culture depending on what country you're in. So that is interesting.
If you go to Sweden, you don't really tip and they make a good wage. So you kind of see there's a differences where you go. And we have videos on lots of countries comparing Austria to the U.S. or Belgium to the U.S. And you can see, do I tip? How do I eat? These kind of things. And that'll help you out. But just know, service, you're not king here, okay? The 9th thing you should know are the elevators. Now, in the U.S., you're used to taking elevators everywhere. I'll just tell you now, make sure you get a few laps on the Stairmaster before you get.
Unfortunately, we have a really tall house. It's not big, but it's tall because it's old, like the way it was built. And I take dozens and dozens of stairs every day of my life. So I'm used to stairs.
Here because you are going to be walking up a lot of steps here. Europe is not super handicap accessible or limited mobility accessible, okay? So get ready for lots of steps, but also the elevators here are a lot smaller, okay? You're not going to get a family of 4 in the elevator at the hotel. You'll get 2 and maybe a piece of luggage up there, okay?
Oh, wow, that's weird. Okay. I mean, I guess it's not weird. It's totally different architecture, different buildings. Everything is different sizes. The elevators are huge here, man, like in the United States. Almost every single one of them, even if it's an old building or a new building. Elevators can easily hold 10 people here or something.
Don't be surprised if you got an elevator, we have to actually pull the middle door open to get out. Now, no, it's not everywhere, but just one of those things, be ready for it, okay?
Yeah.
Also, a lot of times in Europe, the ground floor isn't 1. 1 is the first floor up. So if you got a room that says, 128, you're like, oh, I'm on the ground floor. No. You're on the first floor.
Oh, wow.
I.e. the second floor in the U.S. So you got to walk up a flight, okay?
That's different. Okay.
The 10th thing that I see a lot of people do is they go to open a door and they walk into it, or they don't know which way to go, and they'll walk away from the door and not go into the store. What you'll see is when you come here, some doors are push, some are pull, some you're just not sure, and it doesn't always make sense. So if there's a place you want to go in and you see people there and you can't get the door to open, instead of push, try pull. Instead of pull, try push. It sounds super silly, but I've seen people all over here walk into doors because they thought it was a push and just went bam, okay? So be careful with that. And the 11th thing...
That should be common sense, but yeah, I mean, now that I think about it, I feel like that would apply here too, because some places have doors that push in and some have pull out. So Yeah, that's not a big deal.
I'd like you to know before you come is, look, when you get hotel rooms and you get a single room, a lot of time it's a single bed, like a twin bed, okay? If you get a double room, it's 2 single beds. It's not like when you go to the Holiday Inn and get a double room, which has 2 big queen beds or king beds. Yeah. Hotels here are much smaller. The rooms are smaller, the bathrooms are smaller, all kinds of stuff, okay? So just know the beds are going to be smaller, and also, if you get a double bed, it's basically 2 twins pushed together, and there might be a crack in the middle, but you might lose your children, which we have before. And actually, I think I lost my dad once too, in the crack. So just so you know, those are some of the little differences before you come, and then they're not going to be such shocks when you get here. So it's a nice little easy, oh, okay, now I know some of these little differences, so I'm better prepared. What are some other tips that you have for people on their first trip to Europe?
That was interesting. That was really good. These are always really fun. Some interesting. Some of them are common sense tips, and some of them are pretty creative. So yeah, what do you guys have for Americans coming to Europe? I would really, literally give anything to go to Australia, New Zealand, that area. That would be amazing. And then, of course, I would love to visit anywhere in Europe, quite frankly. So if you have any tips for me or fellow Americans on how they can assimilate better to Europe when they travel there and have a good time, please let us know in the comments down below. Anyone from outside of Europe, whether you're from the United States or Canada or Mexico or from Australia, New Zealand, when you traveled to Europe, what were your impressions? What stood out to you? Anyway, y'all, throw a like on there if you enjoyed this one. And, of course, subscribe to be part of this amazing community. My name is Ian. You're watching IWrocker. And until next time, I'll catch you later.